But I don't view natural explanations for things and supernatural explanations for things as as any more divine or wonderful or miraculous than another. To me, both are under the auspices of God. And He is the author and the creator of all the natural things that we study and the supernatural experiences we might have. And we have a tendency to sort of ascribe the supernatural things to God, and maybe the natural things are just natural. But who's the author of those things? Where did those things come from, right? It at least begs that question. So I have never thought about these things as separate, as having separate sources or something like that. They all sort of fall within God's umbrella. Your question, Ross, reminds me actually of quotes from Stephen Hawking as well as Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan is a Cornellian, so we tend to wear him proudly at Cornell. But as brilliant as he was, I'm not sure that I always agreed with a lot of the inferences that he made based on the observations that he had. For example, he was quite astute in noting that we live, what did he say, in a humdrum planet, in a sort of forgotten galaxy in some corner of this universe where there might even be multiple universes. So we're really pretty insignificant. And Stephen Hawking had a similar quote where he said, we're just chemical scum at the end of the day, right? And what the jump that they're making there is they're making correct and true observations about the material aspect of who we are, but then they are jumping to derive significance only from that material aspect, right? So when we talk about healing the human, we need to first think about what it means to be human, right? And I don't believe that we are simply a collection of cells. I don't believe that we are simply the chemical and material nature that we do share with all of the rest of what's around us. That's absolutely true, right? But that is only one aspect of who we are. And so when we focus healing on only that one aspect, it's powerful, there's no doubt, right? I do research in a lab focused on that all the time, and I am aware of the power that lies within it, but it's incomplete, right? Because there's more to who we are than just our material substance. And so I think that's why healing also has to be thinking about those aspects as well. One thing I will point to is, and Lori may bring this up as well, but this notion of mindfulness, right? Up until, 2006 or so, you could probably count on my two hands the number of clinical trials that actually incorporated meditation or mindfulness in any kind of substantive way. Since then, maybe several hundred, right? So there's really been an explosion in the consideration of mindfulness and meditation, but this isn't a new idea. Ancient cultures all around the world, indigenous cultures, my own Indian tradition, and many others have been practicing mindfulness and meditation for quite some time, right? They may not have been done in exactly the way that clinical trials are run today, and there's value in that, right? The way that clinical trials are run, science, what it brings to the table is the ability to be able to interpret the data, perhaps with greater power. But there's been a tremendous amount of investigation and trial and error and observation and science, if you will, in these ancient traditions that have been disregarded by modern Western science, that I think it's time for us to drop that hubris and say, what can we learn from these other ancient traditions that may not be squarely within the Western scientific fold in the way that things are done, but certainly have contributed vast amounts of knowledge about who we are and what it means to be human, right? And part of the reason why we don't is fear. We don't understand it, right? But we can't live out of fear. One of my favorite verses in Scripture is that perfect love drives out fear, right? So if we are actually operating out of fear, we're not actually going to be fully human.